Hi guys, in this video I'm gonna go over this is part 2 of the Flexbox model. I went over part I just covered the basics, and this is basic 2 now, but this is I'm gonna talk about the I'm gonna repeat what I mentioned yesterday. So the Flexbox container, the Flexbox model, items inside a box, and the box is called the Flexbox, and the items inside the Flexbox are called the Flex items. And in CSS, there are properties for each to it, and each property has some values. And although in a CSS you have the container properties, you have the properties for the flex items too in CSS, and these have properties that you can control the items inside the flex box, and they have different properties, and each property can have different values. And so basically you have the flex container in CSS. It's got some properties, different properties, and each property can have different values. And the same thing with the flex item. It has different properties, and each property can Visual Studio Code once you start typing them. So, and once you get used to them, uh, you'll remember them, or if you type a part of it, the rest will come up. So I'm gonna give you an example now. So this is the flex box I was talking about. I was using yesterday for. So these are called the flex items, and the box containing them, it's called the flex box or the flex container. So this is visual, this is live server in Visual Studio Code. And if you go back to the Visual Studio Code, so let me, so looking at part, let's see, exit. Sometimes you have to restart Visual Studio Code in order to retrieve the live server. So this is the HTML document. Open it. Okay, so that's how it looks like now. Okay, so what we do in CSS, go into the CSS style at the flex properties. So this container, it's right here. This is the container that has the 4 elements in it. So it's called the flex. Now, in order to use the flex box, the first requirement, you have to use the property display flex, like nothing, like this is the normal situation whenever you don't have any flex elements. So if you add now display flex, and this is the requirement for the container to make it a flex container. Let me. Okay, so let's add to the container display flex, semicolon. Okay, so now okay. Now what we can do in a Flexbox, let's say we want to centralize, align those in the center of the box. So what we can use, flex, and if you use the center, okay, it didn't do it. Let's try to align, justify content maybe. Justify content center. Still it didn't work. What I'm trying to do, I want to align the 4 boxes in a flex container box, those 4 items. And I'm looking at the proper line, items equal center. Still it did not work. Align content. The flex items, I want to try to align them inside the justify content, and then we give it the value center, and now they're aligned. So if you look at them now, they're in the center of the box. So that's how you align in the center the flex items inside the flex box. Okay, now what we can do, give it some padding, 50 pixel. Okay, so just to give it some padding here around it. Okay, so okay, if you look now, if you make the browser smaller, if you know, we can use the Flexwrap. The Flexwrap, you can decide if you want the items to wrap around and they stay in a box. This way they don't disappear like now when you make the browser smaller. So in this case, they're only appearing when the browser is big. When you make it smaller, they're disappearing. Wrap. If we give it a value wrap, semicolon, so it doesn't matter how small is the browser, they're not gonna disappear from the page. You have the 4 boxes here. If you make the browser smaller, basically the flex container is getting smaller too. So because we gave it a property flex wrap equal wrap, it means wrap them around. When it gets smaller, they kind of get wrapped around. They don't disappear. They stay here, but they wrap around the going below. So yes, but they wrap around. It depends how big or how small you make the browser, hence changing the box size. So this is very important. So wrap, no wrap, gonna disappear without wrap. This way they stay in a. So let's remove the flex wrap and just keep it this way. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about so what we did now, it's kind of revision from yesterday where we added we talked about the flex container and its properties and some values. There's more. I got a list from the w3schools.com, and they have some properties for the container, for the Flex container, and for the items. You can look at them, and you can go through different resources, and you can do some research, and those values, there might be more, but you don't need a lot of them. You just each value has different, each property here for the Flex container, it has different values. And for the Flex items too, there are different properties, and each property has some values. And in this case now, I'm going to use the order property for the items. This way I can show you how the items how can you change the orders of the item, the way they placed in the container now. So we gonna come here, we gonna go to, first we were working with the properties of the container, of the Flexbox container. So now if we go to the Flexbox element, which are the those boxes, box 1, 2, 3, 4, these are the flex items inside the flex box here. So let's say box 1, which is red, we kind of give it an order. So we have 4 items here. You can give them orders 1, first, second, third, and fourth. So let's say I want to move the red one to this position, to the fourth. So I just put order, this property, and colon, and I'll give it number 4 here, and semicolon. And you see the box, the red box, moved to the fourth position here. It was first, is the fourth now. Let's say I want to move the box 2 to the third position, to this one here. So I go down, box 2, I'll give it box 2, 3, semicolon, and it moved here to this spot. This is the third spot. So if you noticed, they're reversed now. I have the box 1 at the end, box 2 before it. The first one, box 3, which was the third one here. Box 4, it was the fourth. It's the second one now. So this is how you change the order of the flex items in a flex container. You use you go to each property of the flex item in CSS, in the CSS style sheet, and you add the order property, and you give it the value. I want it to be the first one. The first one, it's gonna be here then. So let's give it order, order. Okay, so it didn't. Okay, so we have to give the number 4, order 4, 3, and 1. So we can give it 2. So this way it can move to the spot here. So order 2, semicolon. So the green will move to the second spot. So if you look from the top, box 1, we gave it order number 4, so it's the fourth one now. It means it's the third box now. And box 3, which is the green one, we gave it order number 2. It means it's going to be the second box. You can reverse or change the arrangement of those boxes in a Flexbox container by giving them the order property, and giving the order property a value, and the value will be where you want the items to be placed, number 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can swap them and switch them around. So that's how it goes. And if we use the let me see this one here, the align self. Let's see the align self, what it does. Align self, align self. It looks like it's already aligned because we use the justify content equal center. Let me try to remove this from the container. Align. Okay, so Yeah, I'm not sure why those are not aligned the same. Let me see the type. Yeah, I have to look into this. I have to do more search on. So basically, in this case, we went over the flex box, the container, and how to use the properties. I went that over yesterday. You have to use the display flex to make it a flex items like the box 1, 2, 3, 4 inside. So there's so many properties and values. You just have to try them to see what they do, or make find some information on the internet. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions, please submit them in a comment and let me know if you have any idea about topics for